Hey travelers! Today I want to talk to you about this really stupid argument I had with somebody who was commenting on one of my YouTube videos, and it really reminded me of why I choose to do this job. Because let's face it, the last year being a travel agent has sucked eggs. I've spent most of the time making less than $0 as I spend 8 hours a day working, often just canceling and rescheduling trips. And since we don't get paid until people travel, that means I'm working for less than free. But I love this job and I wouldn't do anything else. And this argument that I had with this commenter sort of reminded me why. So he commented on one of my videos. The video was actually about the new CDC requirements for returning to the United States after being out of the country. But his comment was that the problem is airlines don't tell you that they have a specific group of labs that you can use for your tests. And if you don't get your test at that lab, the airlines won't let you fly. And I was like, no. The airlines don't make the rules. The airlines just enforce the rules. They're like the enforcers of the travel world. And he's like, no. My sibling tried to go to Dubai and they got to the airport and they said there's a list of labs and you have the wrong test, and they wouldn't let his sibling fly. And I was like, right, but the airline didn't make the rules. United Arab Emirates made the rules, and the airlines just have a list of what the UAE will accept. And he's like, you're just being hard-headed. I was like, well, I am 100% hard-headed. Just ask my husband. But I wasn't being hard-headed in this case. The problem was he didn't understand the requirements. And I do, because that's my job. And it really brought back to me why I do this. Because another thing that happened recently is I went to St. Lucia. And when I got to the airport here in Norfolk, Virginia, where I fly from, I presented all my documents to the agent when I checked in, and she was like, oh, thank you for having all your papers. And I said, well, do a lot of people not have their papers? And she said to me, more people are showing up without the proper documentation than with the proper documentation. And they are getting turned away, and they end up commenting on YouTube videos incorrectly, like my guy. So it reminded me of why I do this. I started in this business over 13 years ago, back when I was still a loan officer. I was a loan officer for almost 15 years at a couple of major banks. And I was really good at that job, and I really hated it. And my husband and I went on a 10th anniversary trip to Walt Disney World. And we had a great time, but we made a bunch of missteps that cost us a lot of time. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's a business in helping people avoid these kind of missteps. And I went home and I started researching, and oh my God, travel agents. Confession time. I never used a travel agent until I became one. I never thought about them. They never crossed my mind. But then I realized that the whole point of being a travel agent was to find my clients the best deals, but also to make sure their travel is seamless. That whatever they need to travel, they have. And now, more than ever, that is super important because everything is changing. It's not what it used to be. Because the airlines don't have a list, but the countries do. Each country has its own requirements for entering their country, and I know what those are. And because that requirements are changing a lot. Jamaica has changed 3 times in 6 months, the requirements to get in. And I know what those are. And I know that having had the COVID vaccine does not exempt you from the testing requirement to come home. I know all of these things. And my clients who have traveled over the last 6, 7, 8 months, no one has been turned away at the airport. No one has been detained when they got to their country because they had the incorrect documentation, because I make sure it's seamless. And I do that all the time, COVID or not. There's always stuff to think about. Every little detail, I handle that. You don't have to worry about it because I do. I take care of that for you. And that's why I got into this. And sometimes I forget that. I got into it because I made a whole bunch of mistakes and I wanted to help people avoid them. And now That's what I do for the past almost 14 years, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day sometimes. Every day, I'm here making sure that my clients know what they need to have to travel, that they never get caught short, and that they never end up commenting on somebody's YouTube channel that they're being hard-headed because they're disagreeing, because they're right. I was right. That's the part that gets me. He was arguing and arguing and arguing. He was insistent that the airlines were the ones who were making all the rules, and they just aren't. So make sure that you know what you need and get an awesome travel agent like me to help you. It doesn't cost you anything. I have some great deals and some great perks. But most of all, you'll never get stranded at the airport and end up having a stupid argument on YouTube. So until next time, stay well.